going on YouTube? It's your host again here, back with another this is pretty much going to be added in two playlists in the channel. First one being obviously the Road to Spider-Man Far From Home and my movie reviews playlist, because this is pretty much a movie review and part of the Road to Spider-Man Far From Home series. And finally watched Far From Home, and I gotta say, some things were what I expected, some things were pretty much what I wasn't expecting. So, first off, before I get, into what I think of the movie, I think we should get down to the basics. First off, it obviously takes place, after Avengers Endgame, and because that's one of my, theories that was pretty much already answered, even though we already knew that Peter was going to come back in Endgame. And this isn't just a direct sequel to, Endgame. This is also a direct sequel to Homecoming, because, at the same time, you don't really need to watch Endgame. You don't have to go from Spider-Man Homecoming to Endgame to Avengers Infinity War, and then Endgame, and then Far From Home. You don't have to do that. You can just go from Spider-Man Homecoming to Far From Home, and that's it. So it's a direct sequel to both of those movies, and gotta say, it it's an awesome movie. But there's a lot of things that there's not a lot of things that I didn't like. There's a few things that I didn't like, but I'll get into it in a little bit. So the movie pretty much starts off, it pretty much introduces itself, it just introduces all the things that you need to know. It introduces, what it's all about. It's going to be, about monsters appearing out of nowhere after the events of Endgame. And also it introduces the villain, in the forefront, which is Mysterio. But I'll get into him in a little bit, because he's very important, to the plot of the movie. And so Mysterio is after Sandman in Mexico, and so, but he tries, to help Nick Fury and Maria Hill, even though he told them that they shouldn't be involved in this. And then the movie just cuts in black, before we get to see, Mysterio, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill go after Sandman. And I'll get into, Sandman and the other, elementals in a little bit, because they're also important to the plot. So then it cuts to a tribute to Iron Man's Robert Downey Jr., which, as I say, I don't want to be disrespectful, but even for a tribute, to seriously one of the best MCU heroes, even for a tribute to him, it kind of seems kind of I don't want to say awful, because it wasn't awful. It's better than my videos. It's better than my video editing, but seriously, after that tribute, we also get introduced, to the. You also get, introduced to another, subplot of Peter, this time going, trying to conquer, MJ's heart. He pretty much plans out. Pretty much, Peter has the same conversation that I would have with my friends when it involves, to dating, and planning out how he's gonna do it. Pretty much is the same thing that I usually do. You can ask my friends Elijah, and you can ask my friend Elijah Miller, because I've told him lots of ideas. Speaking of Elijah, you can check out his channel, and you can check out his channel Rebel for Life. You can find it, in my subscriptions, and you can check his videos out. And so, back to topic. So then it's revealed that it's not a field trip. It doesn't take place during school days. It takes place during a summer vacation. So it's not a field trip. And pretty much Peter he pretty much attends after school. He attends into like I suppose like a some type of version of the feast, homeless shelter thing, where Aunt May makes a speech about about how everybody's trying to recover, after the events of what's instead of the snap they refer to as the blip in the movie. So then that's I mean, they call it what they call it, so for now on, we're just gonna refer to it as the blip. And so, yeah, Spider-Man does also has, a speech, I guess, and then, they get to check, from Pepper Potts because, Tony at this point is dead, sadly. And speaking of Tony, this movie also, focuses on how Tony's death affected Peter, which is handled in a pretty good way because Peter still thinks that he's never gonna be as good of a hero as his mentor Tony Stark because he looked up at him like a father figure. And yeah, that's pretty much another subplot is that Peter wants to get out of Tony's shadow. Well, not he doesn't want to. He wants to, but he doesn't think he will be able to do it because everybody's wondering who's going to be the next Iron Man, and he just doesn't think he's going to be good enough of a hero to do it. So then after Peter and his classmates go to Europe, but not before Nick Fury tries to contact him, and we'll get into Nick Fury at the end, in the end of the post credit scene because well, it's not very important. He's not very important to the plot, but he's still in there. So then they go to the field trip, and Peter has a little bit of competition with this guy named I always forget his name. Is it Brad? We're just gonna refer to him as Brad, who was just a little kid that nobody cared about back in when before the snap, but now he's grown into Peter and his classmates' age. Now they're in the same grade level, which is pretty awkward for him and his other classmates, but they pretty much brush it off because everybody's trying to recover after the blip. And pretty much the movie starts off with just showing off Peter and his classmates enjoying their field trip, and then Hydro Man shows up, and you know how it goes. Spider-Man tries to find him, Mysterio shows up and actually saves the day. But we'll get into, like I said, we'll get into why Mysterio keeps on beating the villains easy, like with an easier pace than Spider-Man. So then pretty much Nick Fury finally decides to go after Spider-Man, and he pretty much not before knocking out Ned, and he pretty much takes Spider-Man to meet Mysterio, and they have a pretty cool talk about how there's apparently an alternate universe to Peter's universe, like a bunch of like a multiverse pretty much. And pretty much Peter at first decides not to accept Nick Fury's mission because he's gonna put his friends in danger. And Nick Fury obviously at first understands. Well, he at least pretends he understands. But then the next morning, pretty much he hijacks Peter's vacation. And after they head over to to Prague, there's just, speaking of which, I just remembered. There's this one very very awkward scene that Peter has with one of Fury's agents that gave him the stealth suit, and they have a pretty awkward scene in the bathroom. Well, the bathroom. I don't know if it's the bathroom or just a little separate part of the motel. But yeah, the agent tells Peter to take his citizen clothes off, and so he can put on the stealth suit, and he kind of gets caught by his classmates, and Peter tries to he doesn't try to kill him, but he tries to to get the evidence that he got caught, and he uses Tony's glasses, the ones in Infinity War that he used, and he pretty much because Tony gave those glasses to Peter, and pretty much he uses them to not try to kill him, but try to get rid of the evidence, but it doesn't work. But he stops it from killing him, and pretty much Peter and then Peter goes off to Nick Fury's mission to fight Molten Man, And pretty much a big secret is revealed after the fight because MJ, aka, Zendaya's character of MJ, she discovers that the he well try to hold on with, but that the elementals are actually illusions by Mysterio, not actual villains. So yeah, the whole multiverse thing, it's out of the window. It was just a fake out by Mysterio all along, and pretty much they discovered that Mysterio is doing this because, and I'm telling the truth, but I'm telling the truth. So Mysterio is also another villain that blamed Tony Stark for why he became a villain. And I'm wondering, is every Spider-Man villain just gonna be caused because they blame Tony Stark? I'm just wondering. I mean, I know we're already two villains in, but a third one would just. I mean, we need a different origin instead of blaming it on Tony Stark. But anyways, so then Spider-Man goes to Nick Fury, but it's a trap by Mysterio, and they have this is one of the greatest moments in the in all the Spider-Man movies. But they have a pretty cool showdown. Like Mysterio uses illusions, and when I saw the scene, I was like, this feels like it's straight out of the comics. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, seriously, if you see that scene, you will instantly notice that it's almost like if it was, right out of the pages of the comic book.
I mean, look at yourself. Just a scared little kid in a sweatsuit.
After Spider-Man gets knocked out by a train, I'm not kidding, he gets actually ran over by a train, and he ends up in the Netherlands, where he contacts Happy, and he tells him about how he is ensured that he will be a good hero as Tony. But Happy cheers him up and helps him build the suit, and finally, pretty much Spider-Man has his final battle with Mysterio and eventually beats him. But not without, a twist, because Mysterio ends up dying. But here's where we get to the post-credit scene, which I kind of having mixed feelings about. But Mysterio's revealed that before he died, he actually filmed a video, trying to frame Spider-Man for, for framing him, for all the attacks, and that, he kind of mixed up some tapes of Peter talking so that he can make Peter look like a villain. And he just doesn't do that. He that's not the only thing that he does, but he also reveals Peter's identity to the whole world. And who does he deliver those tapes to? None other than J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson. I'm not kidding, they brought him back, which I'm very happy about, but I'm kind of iffy about the final part about revealing Peter's identity. I mean, who knows? Maybe Peter will finally learn his lesson to never say, every time he meets a new superhero or a supervillain undercover. Like, let's just hope he doesn't. So that he gets taught, never to say, "Oh, hey, I'm Peter Parker," because he does that a lot. But then again, we don't know how they will deal with that. Maybe J. Jonah Jameson's Daily Bugle is not very trustworthy, and Shield might debunk it. But yeah, and also, by the way, Nick Fury and Mario Hill are revealed to be Skrulls all this time. And so yeah, that's the whole movie. And you might be wondering, what are my thoughts on it? It's a pretty great movie. I have to admit, it was pretty great. It's just that the post-credit scene was the one that I'm kind of, about. But yeah, it was great. I recommend it. You guys should watch it. And yeah, it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Whip up that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you later, webheads.